possible. I'd like to turn the time over to Maria Herbert from Driver Ed Solutions to share a few words with us. Please join me in thanking Driver Ed Solutions for their partnership and support and welcoming Maria to the stage.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. So we are Drivers Ed Solutions. I have Kyle and Cody. They're two of our developers. And we've traveled all the way from Wisconsin. And what we are is online scheduling software. So this is all about safety and you having more time to spend teaching your students. And so what we really want to do is to be able to give you the tools so that you're not constantly tracking down your students, seeing how many drives they have, calling them up to remind them of their drive times, filling out the road skills test forms. So that's what we do, is we help manage all of that process so you can really spend more time teaching and putting students on the road that are going to be driving safely. So one of the things that I would like to say is I might request Audra to move the date, because every year it happens on Kyle's birthday, which actually happens to be today. But our software has a lot to do with helping you out as far as automatic text message reminders, doing the registrations, making sure that your seat capacity is accurate for classroom if you're doing that. I'm trying to think if there's any other things that I've forgotten, but you want to hear?
Just a quick note, we have a bunch of your schools using our software and a bunch more that are about to. And because we didn't have an opportunity to speak with you one-on-one, if any of you who are using our software and have feedback for us, what we can do better for you, others that are just onboarding, if you have any questions, stop by, visit us, chat with us at our booth. We can certainly talk through those things. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We've really enjoyed being here, and we'd love to see you stop by our booth. We always enjoy getting your feedback, and even if it's just asking us to program more things for you, that usually can happen. So come by your booth and let's talk. Thank you.
Thank you. As I'm handing off. Thanks, you guys. Okay. Okay, I promised Jason that I wouldn't quit. We're reading his parts and let him have a turn speaking. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, we're going to close out the day for our last session. We are privileged to hear from Dr. Jonathan Asani from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health.
So Dr. Asani comes from Johns Hopkins, oh heavens, say that 10 times fast, Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. He uses policy and behavioral research to prevent motor vehicle crashes and advance the health-promoting aspects of transportation. So please join us in welcoming Dr. Jonathan Asani. Dr. Asani, come please. I think I need a Coke.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you very, very much. Cheers. Hello, good afternoon. And let me just say that I am acutely aware of the fact that I stand between you and the end of the day. So I hope to make this interesting and engaging, and hopefully we'll go on a journey together. I want to begin by saying that it's really a privilege and a joy to be here. I really wanted to call out the incredible presenters that have preceded us. This morning's keynote by Lisa was terrific. And you're going to hear echoes of some of the things that Lisa shared this morning in my presentation. We didn't call each other in advance. We didn't coordinate. It's just one of those things that I think people who are in the field and are thinking about these things are beginning to develop a certain consciousness that what we're doing at the moment is not enough and we need to go a little deeper. So let's begin with this challenge that is before us. We here, the majority of us here, are involved in the education of new drivers. There's also people in the audience who are in law enforcement and also in the emergency response community. And I think we have a challenge. We have a challenge in the educational work that we do that the things that we focus on in our day-to-day work, primarily as educators, are not the things that are killing teens. So let me give you an example. So this is a graph showing the current kind of trends, the 5-year trends or 6-year trends of young driver deaths in the United States. It's sitting around 2,100 teens killed per year. We heard some really heart-rending stories this morning of the lives that were shattered as a result of the reckless behaviors of others and sometimes the actions of the individual. And I want to point to you that we're on a kind of an increase. Thankfully, we had a reduction. 2022 is the latest year for which data are available. But this number seems to be hovering around this figure. And when we look at what is killing teens and what we focus on in driver education, especially, I think there is some dissonance. So, over half of the teens who are killed in crashes are not wearing their seatbelts. You all know this already. But I think it's a really perplexing question, because seatbelt use is one of the simplest behaviors to engage in. And yet, half of the teens who died were unbelted. The second one is excessive speed. So over a third of fatal crashes involving young drivers were involving excessive speed. Again, this is something that is very basic in our driver education, in those curated videos that Brett was showing us of how driver education takes place in such a kind of a focused and controlled environment. There's a disconnect between what we're seeing killing young people and how we're educating them. And the final one is alcohol. Over a quarter of fatal crashes involving young people involved a BAC of 0.10. That's double the legal limit here in Utah. And so I think the reason why I'm raising these for you is that when we put our educational and preventive curriculums to one side, and we look at the things that are killing young people on the other side, we have to ask ourselves, are they lining up clearly? So we're going to, now that I've kind of set the stage, I'm going to go into this idea of safe systems and Vision Zero. I'm going to talk a little bit about the story of safe systems and Vision Zero, because I think it's important for us to realize that the story of safe systems has not been finished completely in this country. We still have a way to go, but also our consciousness of what matters to reach zero is shifting. So, as you know, we're here at the Zero Fatality Safety Summit, and our goal is zero. But then the question is, what are our strategies? What are the pillars of the safe system? Now, I know you've probably heard this piece many times. So there's an element which is about engineering, safe vehicles. There's an element about safe roads. There's an element about post-crash care, safer speeds, and safer people. And I think the biggest idea or biggest contribution that safe systems made to our consciousness is that getting to zero is a shared responsibility. We used to have a system where our focus was on the individual. The engineers built the roads, and they said, okay, now everyone act perfectly. That was the assumption. If there was a crash on the road, if there was a fatality on the road, the individual was blamed. Our goals in conventional safety were to reduce fatalities. Our goal in Vision Zero is to eliminate them. In conventional safety, our goal was on the individual user following the rules and behaving perfectly. Our focus in the safe system is on the role of the system. And when people crashed in the conventional paradigm, it was put down to the individual's shortcomings. They weren't doing the right thing, and so on. And in a Vision Zero paradigm, our focus is attributed to the system. The failure is attributed to the system. So this is a big shift. The shift towards system responsibility is a curious one and a challenging one. In my view, it was the most philosophically challenging idea introduced to road safety in the previous 50 years. That engineers have to shoulder some of the responsibility for the system. And I think the challenge that we had over the last few years, and this is my view, let me just preface this by saying this is my view, is that our focus went so far in the direction of the system being responsible for crashes and the failures being attributed to the system, that our pendulum almost swung too far in the system direction. In all the safe systems literature, it talked about a shared responsibility. And I think the emerging ideas in safe systems and Vision Zero, especially coming out very recently from the founders of safe systems themselves, is that actually individual behavior still really, really matters. And this paper that I'm showing you on the screen here introduced a concept which has probably the most boring name that you could possibly imagine, which is the normal driving envelope. It's not a very inspired term, but let me tell you what it means. I think it's profound. The safe system accommodates basic human limitations that can lead to crashes and injuries, but it does this through certain expectations of how individuals should behave. And when these are combined with the vehicle technologies and the roadway systems, then we get to zero. But there's a big if. The whole thing only works if the road users comply with their basic behavioral expectations. And this has been a missing element in the conversation about safe systems and Vision Zero. The individual's behavior still matters. And if we really want to get to zero, then the system assumes the following things. A driver is operating in the normal driving envelope if they're operating at a safe speed, they're wearing a seatbelt, they're focused on the driving task, and they're not impaired. Those are the assumptions of the safe system. The safe system as a social contract, the roadway engineering, all of the infrastructure, all of the post-crash care, all of the systems that we've created, the social contract of safe systems only works when the individual is operating in the normal driving envelope. If we leave the normal driving envelope, it doesn't work. I think this has been a missing element of the conversation, the national and the global conversation. And so when Audra asked me to say something about our role in achieving zero, I wanted to focus our thoughts on this concept of the normal driving envelope. And so what can we do to enhance or encourage compliance with this normal driving envelope? Well, first thing you can do is what Utah is the only state in this nation has done, which is to lower the BAC to 0.05. When you lower the BAC to 0.05, it's associated with an 11% decline in alcohol-related crashes in global studies. The second is sobriety checkpoints. Frequent, highly publicized sobriety checkpoints, which is what I grew up with in Australia, have been found to reduce alcohol-related crashes by up to 20% and are a general deterrent against impaired driving. And Utah is one of only 12 states in the country that does sobriety checkpoints. So you guys are already way out in front of the rest of the nation on these. The second one is mandating ignition interlocks for repeat DUI offenders. In study after study, these have been shown to reduce alcohol-impaired driving by up to 2/3. And their effectiveness has been shown in literally dozens of studies. Speed limiters, or intelligent speed adaptation, is a new technology. This year, it's being mandated across the European Union. And this prevents the vehicle from going above a certain limit. In Washington, D.C. right now, there's a pilot for repeat speed offenders to have a speed limiter fit on their vehicle so they cannot exceed the legal speed limit for any road that they're driving on. And the final one is seatbelt interlocks, basically preventing the vehicle from moving until all the seatbelts are engaged. These are the measures that have been shown to be effective in reducing crashes as they relate to the normal driving envelope. Okay, great. Well, this would be a logical point to just finish our remarks and to, basically wrap up. But I want to challenge us to go one step deeper today and to ask ourselves, what happens? What happens to those people who still refuse to stay within the normal driving envelope? What do we do about that segment of the population that just doesn't comply? They represent, in my view, the edge of behavioral safety and the beginning of a vast unknown. And that's the population I want to focus on now. This is a quote by one of my favorite philosophers. You may be saying to yourself, Jonathan, it's almost 4 p.m. at the end of a long day. Why are you inflicting philosophy on me right now? But let me read the quote to you and offer you a perspective on risk that I think might help us reframe the way we think about that population that we have a hard time engaging. So the quote says, "Darkness is the absence of light. When there is no light, there is darkness. Light is an existing thing, but darkness is non-existent." What on earth, Jonathan, does this have to do with our role to zero? Why are you quoting Eastern philosophy to me? Let's engage in a hypothetical experiment. Imagine we turned off all the lights in this room right now. It went pitch black and they closed the doors. And Audra told us there's snacks in the lobby. What would happen? Would it be easy for us to get out if it was completely dark in here? Or is it likely that we'd bump into each other, we'd trip over, some of us might fall, some things may fall on the ground, someone might get hurt? Darkness has real implications. Darkness results in bad things happening. But it's really the absence of light. I'm sharing this with you because in behavioral road safety, I think that when we focus on risk, we're focusing on darkness. And for too long, we've ignored the light. Rather than asking ourselves, what are those things that encourage people to drive safely, maintain driving within the normal driving envelope, wear their seatbelt, not engage in drunk driving, not use their phone while they're driving. We focused on counting all the times we don't see those behaviors. And what I'm offering today is a totally different perspective on how to address risk. So, this is a busy-looking table that has one really important implication. If you look to the rightmost two columns, you'll see that there are two columns. One says low, one says high. When we surveyed around 300 young people in this country, a nationally representative survey, around 80% of them fell into the low-risk group of drivers. For this group, there was very low likelihood that they drank alcohol and drove in the last 30 days. There was very low likelihood that they'd used marijuana and driven in the last 30 days. That was 80% of the drivers. But among 20% of the drivers, 100% had used marijuana and driven in the last 30 days. 100% of them had used their phones while they'd driven in the last 30 days. And what we realized is that the population distribution of risk is not even. If we all stood up in this room and we measured everyone's height, it would follow what is called a normal distribution, a perfect sine wave. It'd be flat, and then it'd be a hump, and it'll go down. That normal distribution is present in almost every dimension of human behavior. If you take an exam, students follow a normal distribution. The bell curve is a normal distribution. High-risk driving is not normally distributed. It's clumped. It's clumped in a certain segment of the population, and that population is not doing well. When we looked at this 20% of drivers who were engaging in the highest risk behaviors, the majority of them had had suicidal thoughts in the prior 7 days before taking the survey. This can begin to explain why young people are dying in crashes and not wearing their seatbelt. The probability of being in a severe crash increased as the severity of suicidal thoughts increased in this population. And so, as Lisa mentioned in the morning, if we really want to get to the heart of the issue, we can't ignore some of the more challenging realities that are facing us. However, I don't think this is cause for despair, because rather than focusing on the darkness, we can focus on the light. And you, as the driver educators and as the law enforcement and traffic safety community, in my view, are the bridge between where we are today and where we want to go. This, by the way, is my hometown in Sydney. So, I'm going to show you now another complicated looking graph which really has a very simple story, and it is this. This is the association between purpose in life and all causes of death. If your purpose in life is high, you're far less likely to die young. If you have low purpose in life, your likelihood of dying is higher. One way to think about the young driver crash problem that we have is that some of these young people have no meaning or purpose. And that translates into the idea that they have nothing to protect. They have nothing to live for. And so then why drive in a safe way? It's not the only reason why young people are dying in crashes. Some of it is due to inexperience. Some of it is due to just risk-taking and fooling around. But this is an under-examined element. And I think the field of positive psychology begins to shed some light on how we can move forward. So, Martin Seligman came up with this idea over 20 years ago, and he emerged from the traditional school of psychology that basically was focused on pathology. It was all about understanding your past trauma and all the things that went wrong and everything that didn't go well. And he said to himself, you know what? Why don't we just start talking about the people who are doing okay? Why don't we start studying people who are flourishing? And so he founded this entire field dedicated to the study of human well-being and flourishing. Now, mindfulness is related to positive psychology. It's an aspect of consciousness that is associated with a range of health outcomes and is directly related to driving. A mindful driver is focused on the driving task. And purpose in life is the extent to which an individual sees their lives as having a meaning and a sense of direction. So, we took these ideas, we took this model that Dr. Seligman presented, and we said, why don't we apply this to driving? And we did it in a very preliminary way. So let me preface the results that I'm going to show you with a caveat that this is a cross-sectional survey. We asked people about their crashes in the last 30 days, their risky driving behaviors in the last 30 days, and we asked them also about things like their mindfulness and their meaning in life. We didn't look at these in a prospective way, where we measured one thing and then followed it for 10 years. So these are preliminary results, but they're intriguing. So let me continue. So how do I think that driver educators can play a pivotal role, and how the driver education curriculum can begin to touch on some of these constructs? Again, 25 years ago, some very forward-looking Swedes came up with this matrix for driver education. It's called the Goals for Driver Education Matrix. And it has 4 kind of pillars, or 4 levels, if you like. The bottom one is vehicle maneuvering. This is what I think most of our driver education curriculum is focused on. The next one is managing traffic situations. So this is now some of the social aspects of driving. But then they pose some really intriguing ideas for what we should focus on next. Goals and context for driving. Why are you driving in the first place? And what are your goals and skills for living? And so our colleagues in Sweden challenged us to come up with driver education curricula that touches on all 4 levels. But when we look at most of the curricula that's offered, it tends to be focused on these lower level ideas, which, don't get me wrong, it's very important for you to have vehicle control. It's very important for you to know how to manage a vehicle in the traffic situation. But what could it look like if we started to go up 1 or 2 notches? So, we conducted a nationally representative survey of teens in English and Spanish, and we asked them if they drove in the last 30 days and if they'd been in 1 or more crashes in the last 12 months. We used structural equation modeling to look at some of the associations. It's all it means is it's a fancy statistical technique to look at correlations. And then we asked them this mindfulness attention awareness scale. This is not about driving. This is just about how you move through the world. But some of them touch on concepts related to awareness, including driving. So I do jobs or tasks automatically without being aware of what I'm doing. I find myself doing things without paying attention. Obviously, if you score high on these, you're not mindful. The lower your score, then the better you are. And then we also administered what is called the sense of purpose scale. And I want to bring your attention to 2 ideas here. We had 2 constructs in the sense of purpose scale. The first is, my purpose in life is clear. And the second is, I make efforts to promote others' well-being. So in the first awareness of purpose construct, it could be that your purpose is very self-serving. It's vague. It's not specified. Your purpose could be to become king of the universe. But the second one is about others. So, what do we find? So the probability, so here, let me just orient you to this figure. Here, the mindfulness score is on the bottom. As the mindfulness score goes up, your mindfulness is higher. You're more mindful. The axis on the left is the probability of engaging in any of the risky driving behaviors. And the color contrast isn't great, but you can squint and generally make out that the more an individual reports being mindful, the lower the chance is that they engage in any of those risky driving behaviors that are listed on the side, including crash involvement in the last 12 months. When we correlated risky driving behaviors, mindfulness, and purpose, the blue dots mean that the behaviors are clumped together. People did, if you engaged in distracted driving, you are more likely to engage in alcohol-impaired driving, you are more likely to engage in other drug use and driving. And then in the bottom, you see the orange, the altruistic purpose, awareness of purpose. And those are negatively associated with the risky driving behaviors. And we threw it all into a giant structural equation model, which you don't really need to worry about. We found that purpose and mindfulness were positively associated. If someone had a high purpose in life, they were more likely to be mindful. And then we saw that these factors were also associated with less risky driving behavior. But now I'm going to bring your attention to these 2 things that I've circled. They're in tiny font. I know you can't see them. So I'm going to show you in this figure. And this is maybe the key finding. In terms of interpreting statistical results, when something has a minus at the front, it means there's a negative correlation. It means as one goes up, the other one goes down. And so in the first bubble, you see that altruistic purpose, a sense of purpose that is about other people, is negatively associated with risky driving behaviors. That means as your sense of purpose went higher, your altruistic sense of purpose went higher, you were less likely to engage in risky driving. But in the awareness of purpose, just having a purpose was positively associated. And this was an unexpected finding for us. This means that a sense of purpose, when we're thinking about that light that takes away the darkness, just any purpose is not enough. The kind of purpose we want is a purpose where we're thinking of others. And this takes us to another philosopher, the great Viktor Frankl, who said, happiness is the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself. I offer these observations to you not because I have answers on what to do next, but just to say that there is a whole horizon of possibility open to us, where if we stop focusing on deficiency and risk and start focusing on the light that gives someone something to live for, then maybe something in those statistics that we see will change. And again, I'm happy to say that Utah is already doing this. Continue your focus on social emotional learning. Continue taking trainings and reinforcing ideas like resilience, purpose. And if there's one thing you can do, it's facilitate opportunities in your students to foster altruistic purpose. Create opportunities for them to serve others. Take up Lisa's suggestion to engage in the peer-to-peer program so young people begin to serve their friends and their families. Engage young people in opportunities to serve in schools, in neighborhoods, in their communities, in the church, in whatever spaces they can be engaged in. And now, I'm going to do something very selfish, which is the opposite of what we've been talking about. I'm going to ask you, the audience, those of you who are driver educators, to take a survey for me. This is part of my research of driver educators across the country. Think of this as your opportunity to do something that contributes to the happiness of others. If you can, take out your phones and scan this QR code. It will take you to a survey. This is intended for driver instructors and driver educators. So if you are in law enforcement or emergency services, don't worry. Sometimes this QR code works, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't work for you, don't worry. I'm just interested in your perspectives on what you're teaching in driver education right now. Brett very kindly let me field this survey last year at ATSIA, and we've been generating insights from learning from you all as a result of your responses. So if you've had a chance to do that, I'm now going to show you a different QR code, which is your Safety Summit evaluation. So you all can have a chance to evaluate the day. And I think with that, we are at time. And I will hand it over to our organizers. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, sir.
Man, what an interesting, amazing take on this. And I love that we're here and be able to hear all this. Well, does that work? I know.
Right.
We like to have the book up. There you go. So thank you, Dr. Asani, for all of that. And thank you, all of you, for your attendance today, especially to the driver's ed teachers, many of whom are going to be going home, and we won't see you tomorrow, so we'll miss you.
Dr. Asani, that was great. Thank you, sir. Oh, he's getting a drink. During his remarks, I was reminded that I often have to tell myself that that I drive a lot better when my own kids or my wife are in the car with me. And it shouldn't be that way, but they're a big part of what my purpose is, what my reason for existing is being a good dad and a good husband. So I need to constantly remind myself to drive a little better like your kids are in the car next to me, or my kids are in the car next to me when I'm alone in the car too. So anyway, thanks for that reminder for my own personal driving.
Yes.
I want to also take a minute. I know we've all enjoyed the conference today. The food's been great, the snacks have been great, the networking has been great, meeting new friends has been great, and all of it was made possible by the executive committee from Zero Fatality Safety Summit. Please, if we could have those folks stand up and we can recognize you. Stand up and wave.
Please.
Executive committee, thank you very much. Our partners at the Department of Transportation, Department of Public Safety, Highway Safety Office, you folks have all worked long and hard for many months putting this event together, and I think it's been awesome for a first day. This has been great. So thank you to the Executive Committee. You guys, A+.
Yes, yes. So this is your last chance to fill out our evaluation form for today. So you can do that right now, win some cool stuff. But before we close, we want to turn the time over to Brett Robinson with a special announcement. Come on.
Okay, come on up, Brett.
Okay, thank you. For those of you who I have not met or you were not at the session earlier, my name is Brett Robinson. I'm the Executive Director for the American Driver and Traffic Safety Education Association, or ADSEA. ADSEA represents driver educational professionals throughout North America and abroad. And thank you to the Planning Committee for letting me make a very short announcement, and I will be brief. But what I would like to do, I need Audra Uri's help. Come on down here, Audra. Yes, come on down. You're not going to listen to me? Where's Audra?
Oh, she's coming.
Oh, there you are. Hey. Each year, ADSEA has an award. It's our most distinguished award, which is called the Richard K. Wood Award, which recognizes excellence throughout an entire career for an individual's contribution to traffic safety education, and particularly to driver education and training. It's named after Dr. Richard K. Wood, who was one of the true founders of driver education that led to what we know today. And I am pleased to announce, and we thought it would be a great idea to announce in front of all of your peers, Audra, that you are the 2025 Dr. Richard K. Wood recipient with the American Driver and Traffic Safety Education Association.
I'm so going to need that.
Audra will receive this award on July 23rd in Billings, Montana for the annual ADSEA conference. And again, just wanted to congratulate you for your outstanding contributions to driver education and training. Audra is truly a leader in this arena, and I'm sure you all can imagine when she speaks at the national level, people listen. She brings so much to the table, so it is indeed my privilege to announce you're the 2025 recipient. Congratulations, Audra.
Congratulations.
Way to go, Audra. Nice.
Oh, it's exciting. Oh, exciting. You never know. There might be prizes under your seat or something next. No, we won't go there.
Great job, Audra. I just want to say that as she ran past us, she said, if he's going to embarrass me, I'm going to kill him.
Run for your life.
It's good. What an honor.
Okay.
All right, so we need to zhuzh for a few minutes while they set up the raffle prizes.
Wait.
And what?
Zhuzh?
We need to zhuzh for a minute. Oh, 45 more seconds. Okay, I can fill 45 seconds.
How do you zhuzh?
Who traveled the farthest to come here to the event today? Who traveled the farthest? Who is it? You did? Where? How far, sir? From Iowa? Anybody further than Iowa?
I was thinking St. George Police Department. Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, winner, okay.
New Jersey?
New
Go
Jersey.
Jersey.
I think Pam might win with New Jersey. Okay, great. Well, thanks for traveling the long distance to come to our conference.
Yes.
We sure are excited, and I'm not going to trick you this time. You don't have to look under your chairs, but we do have some fabulous prizes up front. And let's see, Soraya, are you ready? She is almost ready. So what happened is that you all were given an opportunity to fill out your evaluations. And every time you did that, your name was put into the spreadsheet and entered to win the prizes. And now we are going to randomly select from that list. And you should be able, in just a moment, to be able to see the names come up. We will announce, we will celebrate you, and then you can come and select